everyone. The Ranter is back to go into yet another rambling diatribe of the news of the day. And, yeah, this is going to be the fun one. Let's start out with the little history upon all this. 2 or so weeks ago, we gotten the flailing of Donald Trump saying that he was going to get indicted. That the grand jury that wasn't even in Manhattan was going to issue an indictment. And he flailed about that. Fox News flailed about that. All of Trump's supporters that went onto Twitter all flailed about that. And they say there's a specific date that coming Tuesday it was going to be indictment. And they were planning shit. They was like Trump supporters were going to ring around Mar-a-Lago to protect Trump from the incoming feds that were going to take him. They were calling it the patriotic moat or something along those lines. And then Ron DeSantis, who is already, he and Trump has already started their little slap fighting. They're both running for president, or we're supposing that DeSantis is running for president. He says, he comes out and says, I won't allow the extradition. So too bad, New York. So I don't know if that's an appeal to the Trump supporters or not of that, but that became irrelevant. So when the Tuesday came and no indictment came on that Tuesday, Trump and the whole sycophantic crew started crowing and high-fiving. They're too scared. They're not gonna do that. It was all blowhard for nothing. And Trump came out on his Truth Social and praised the grand jury for his total respect of the grand jury. And then we hear the little inklings, because it's all kind of leaks and so forth upon how the grand jury was not gonna come back for a month to deal with this case, and so Moore says it's totally over, it's okay. And then like on Thursday, it came the indictment, and then all that respect for the grand jury, that went out the window. And then they turned their sights onto Alvin Briggs, the Attorney General. The DA, on the case. And I remember seeing some of the criticisms of it, and it's like, this guy is just woke. This woke DA from Manhattan. And I was like, what? Why is he woke? What makes this guy woke? What makes this black attorney? That's they got it now. You call him woke because the guy's black. That is so clever. Yeah. Anyway, now he's a George Soros acolyte and totes communist. He's totes communist. Upon what this is happening. So indictment comes. And we're leading up to Surrender Day, and all the drama started coming out upon everybody from his servitudes in Fox News and his political sycophants that go onto Twitter, and they're all crying tears of blood over this. And it's just so sad. This is so sad. We get to Surrender Day, and the protest was going to come about, and apparently, even as much as they try to, edit their video shots so you see a lot of people, evidently, there wasn't a lot of people, at least in New York, that they were expecting to be there in support of Trump in a protest. And then, of course, there was a counter-protest that also happened, and little scuffles happened between the two. But in reality, nothing too major. But So Trump goes, he surrenders, gets on his plane, and once again the media, who should know better, once again treats Trump like he's the Pope. So during all their segments where they're discussing this, because Lord knows there's nothing else going on in the world, but we'll have shots of the motorcade throughout all these segments, because again, Pope Trump apparently, I don't know, and goes from there to this plane. So we watch the plane until the plane starts moving and then flies away. Oh, God, you just foolish. Or you're just doing that you just want the attention, or you want to get the attention in the ratings. Look, we're paying attention to this too! Yay! I'm rambling, but this is also a rant. This is also a morning rant, so I'm not as coherent as I usually am. But as we go on, so he gets himself to New York. Marjorie Taylor Greene shows up in solidarity for her meal ticket, as does George Santos, which, this is funny. And, oh, God. So Margie does this press conference in protest against Trump's indictment and arrest. And she's attacked by Antifa. They brought their hit squad of Antifa out to attack Margie, and Margie had to be rushed from the stage. Apparently, they used the horrible murderous tools of whistles and pots and pans, and they drowned her out. And so she had to leave, and she complained that she was assaulted. I'm sorry you don't like protest when it's not in your favor. But that's just a protest. You weren't assaulted, and there wasn't any Antifa there. So Trump goes to the courthouse, surrenders himself, arrested, gets charged 34 counts of falsifying business records, which is a felony in state of New York. People are already arguing, at least I've seen on Twitter, that there are no charges. How is he on charges? There's no crime. Where's the charges in the indictment? Where's the crime in the indictment? Yeah. Because we have to make noise. I mean, during this time frame, Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans in the House were just really looking into investigating D.A. Briggs and perhaps defunding. I'm sorry, you can't do anything about this district attorney's office in Manhattan. Sorry. You're just making noise, which is all you can do because of your very slim majority. You can't pass a ham sandwich without it being vetoed by the president or voted down by the Senate. But be that as it may, as my dog also concurs with the assertion that they can do nothing. But I do want to go through why there's some ambiguity towards these charges, and why it is still why it is a felonies, but these are felonies, so there's 34 counts of it too, as opposed to what is being called misdemeanors. So allow me to go into this from justsecurity.org. The survey of past New York felony prosecutions for falsifying business records. A core crime that the Manhattan District Attorney will likely include in the indictment of former President Donald Trump is falsifying business records in the first degree, a felony under New York State law, New York Penal Code 175.10. Prosecutors, and indeed all of us, are compelled by the rule of law to consider how such a charge compares to past prosecutions are like cases being treated alike. It appears they are. Prosecution of falsified business records in the first degree is commonplace, and it has been used by the New York District Attorney's Office to hold to account a breadth of criminal behavior from more petty and simple to the more serious and highly organized. We reached this conclusion after surveying the past decade and a half of criminal cases across the New York District Attorney's Office. The table below provides full details of many examples of cases we identify in the survey. A sample of the representatives' precedents includes the people of the state of New York versus Joshua Aguilar Dubon, aka Sadie Dubon, aka Alejandro Ortiz. In October 2022, a Bronx business owner indicted for failing to report over $1 million in income, avoiding paying $60,000 in taxes. The people of the state of New York versus Scott Kirkland. In February 2022, insurance broker indicted for allegedly creating and filing fraudulent certificates of liability insurance to further the scheme to defraud. The people of the state of New York versus James Garner, November 2021, mental health therapy aide indicted for allegedly defrauding over $35,000 in workers' compensation benefits. The people of the state of New York versus Jose Palmer, November 2016, pled guilty to appendant larceny for unemployment benefits fraud of over $3,000, having initially been indicted for grand larceny and falsifying business records in the first degree. The people of the state of New York versus Jason Hawley, November 2016, convicted by jury of falsifying business records in the first degree but acquitted of the predicate crime, insurance fraud. The people of the state of New York versus Christina Murray, May 2015, and the people versus Terry Murray, May 2014. This married couple convicted of house fire insurance claims, attempting to recover the cash value of various items properties that were ostensibly lost in the fire. The people of the state of New York versus Barbara A. Freeland, June 2013, convicted for falsely claiming on a food stamps application that a young adult lived with her. The people of the state of New York versus Maria F. Ramirez, August 2010, convicted of returning unpurchased items to a store in exchange for store credit, thus causing a false entry in a business record of an enterprise and using the store credit to purchase additional items one day. Before turning a full table listing here and many others, we offer a brief description of the applicant law. In New York, the criminal law on falsifying business records is found at Article 175 of New York's Penal Code. The crime of falsifying business records can be committed in the second degree, which is a Class A misdemeanor, the New York Penal Code 175.05, or in the first degree, which is a Class E felony. An individual is guilty of falsifying business records in the second degree when, with the intent to defraud, he... You tell him, Gus. Makes or cause a false entry in the business records or an enterprise, or 2. Alters, erases, obliterates, deletes, removes, or destroys a true entry in the business records of an enterprise, or 3. Omits to make true entry in business records of an enterprise in violation of duty to do so which he knows to be imposed upon him by law or by the nature of his position, or prevents the making of a true entry or cause of omission thereof in the business records of the enterprise. New York Penal Code 175.05. an individual is guilty of falsifying business records in the first degree when he commits the crime of falsifying business records in the second degree, and when his intent to defraud includes intent to commit another crime or in aid or concealing the commission thereof. New York Penal Code 175.10. For Trump to be prosecuted for the felony violation of falsifying business records, the statute requires the DA to prove not only that Trump is guilty of falsifying business records, a misdemeanor, but that he did so with the intent to commit another crime, or aiding or concealing commission of another crime. The table of dozens of cases are provided in a 24-page script file below, which there'll be I'll put the link on the description on here, so if anyone wants to check it out, check it out. But yeah, there is all that. Now, I've been seeing that argument going back and forth upon, first of all, it's not even a crime, or if it is a crime, it's only a misdemeanor. Why is he pumping up to be a felony? Me. It's interesting to me how people are reacting to this. And I love the argument going that, oh, this will get him elected. This will get him reelected. Totally. 2024. All you libs, all you celebrating, oh, he's going to get elected again. I don't know about that. I can understand the settlement. I can understand, hitching yourself to that particular type of star in your hoping and dreaming that he will be reelected due to this because of public outrage or so forth. But according to various polls, the majority of Americans was in favor of him being indicted. Many of us who feels that this man has not felt any sense of consequence for any of his actions that we would feel the consequences of. We don't have a problem with this. And in our judicial system, that even though he's accused and he's indicted and he's arrested, he's also innocent until proven guilty. I mean, I'm someone who's quite biased against Trump. I understand that. I don't know if he's guilty or not here. I can make the theory that he's doing the crimes that these indictments are calling for, but that doesn't mean that he's guilty of it until it's proven. Now, I've also been hearing, up until the point of arraignment and beyond, how Trump was going to get into a gag order. That they're going to put a gag order on him and his family so they don't discuss the case, which of course Republicans our hair is on fire over. How could they do this? He's running for president. This is election interference. This isn't even an election yet, and there's an interference. Oh, God. But so far it hasn't happened because Trump decided to talk about this case as soon as he left. And of course, once again, like any average American who gets arraigned and pleads not guilty, clearly he was able to be on bail and was allowed to leave the state. Yeah, how any average American, even if they manage to have bail and make bail, would be allowed to leave the state. But apparently he went back to Mar-a-Lago with Marjorie Taylor Greene right next to him. And so he decided to have a nice conversation about this situation, for which I'm going to go through right now. So bear with me as we go into what Donald Trump said when he got back home to Mar-a-Lago from his harrowing arraignment. This is from The Guardian. Quote, as the title, "The U.S. is going to hell." Donald Trump attacks hush money case in grievance-filled Mar-a-Lago speech. Simmering with anger and defiance, Donald Trump returns to the safe space of Mar-a-Lago and his loyal supporters on Tuesday night, seeking to turn his status as an accused criminal into a political war cry. The former president ignored a plea from the judge in the case to refrain from inflammatory rhetoric, even launching a broadside at the judge's daughter for her political connections. Trump flew back to Florida from New York, where prosecutors had accused him of orchestrating hush money payments to cover up the claims of an affair before 2016 election. Sitting in the Manhattan court, Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. But the evening of a sober day for America and its judicial system, the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican nomination walked into the opulent ballroom at the Mar-a-Lago estate to the familiar strains of Lee Greenwood's "God Bless America, God Bless the United States," a staple of his campaign rallies. Supporters wore "America, Make America Great Again" and Trump 2024 caps and snapped pictures of the president turned defendant. The audience included Trump's son Eric and his wife Laura, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, and pillow maker and conspiracy theorist Mike Lindell. Wearing a blue suit, white shirt, and red tie, and standing behind a lectern that said "Text Trump to 88022" amid an array of U.S. flags, he portrayed himself as the political martyr. "I never thought anything like this could happen in America," Trump said. "I never thought it could happen. The only crime I've committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it." The Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg alleged that Trump, the first former president to face criminal charges, falsified business records to conceal a violation of election laws. The payments were made to the adult film star Stormy Daniels and the former Playboy model Karen Madugan. Another was made to a former Trump Tower doorman, $30,000 to buy the rights to an untold story about a child fathered out of wedlock. Trump appeared subdued as he pled not guilty, but at Mar-a-Lago he felt liberated to protest his innocence and lash out with typical invective, saying that our country is going to hell. He described Bragg, an elected Democrat, as a local failed district attorney charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on the basis of every single pundit and legal analyst said that there is no case. There's no case. They kept saying there was no case. Virtually everyone. But it's far worse than that because he knew there was no case. Some experts have said Bragg has had to rely on untested legal theories, but few have said he has no case at all. Trump added, "The criminal is the district attorney because he legally leaked massive amounts of grand jury information for which he should be prosecuted, or at a minimum, he should resign." In court, prosecutors requested protective orders for discovery materials, including Trump's incendiary posts on his Truth Social platform, including a warning of death and destruction if he should be indicted. The judge, Juan Marcan, advised Trump, "Please refrain from making statements that are likely to incite violence or civil unrest." But in his primetime address, there was no sign Trump was prepared to modify his rhetoric. He assailed Mercan, claiming, "I have a Trump-hating judge and a Trump-hating wife and family whose daughter worked for Kamala Harris." In fact, Mercan's daughter, Lauren, is a partner at a digital campaign strategy agency that has worked for many prominent Democrats, including Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in 2020 election. Trump addressed multiple other cases against him, including an investigation into his attempt to interfere in the election in Georgia. "In the wings, they got a local racist Democrat district attorney in Atlanta who is doing everything in her power to indict me over absolutely perfect phone call." His phone calls are all perfect, you remember? He claimed, referring to a call which he was recorded asking the state Republicans to overturn the results. Trump also went into a lengthy denunciation of the investigation of his mishandling classified materials at Mar-a-Lago. "They're looking at me through the Espionage Act of 1917, where the penalty is death," he said. He described the special counsel, Jack Smith, as a lunatic and complained, "Our justice system has become lawless. They're using it now, in addition to everything else, to win elections." I don't know why I'm getting that voice, but you know why I'm doing the voice. Trump cannot resist reverting to his usual campaign stump speech, rallying against Democrats' handling of withdrawal from Afghanistan, the urban crime, and the threat of Third World War, a military gone woke, and high inflation. He listed baseless grievances include impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, millions of voters illegally stuffed into ballot boxes, and Hunter Biden's laptop, which he claimed exposes the Biden family as criminals. There's no evidence to support that assertion. Anyway, the indictment has led to a surge of support for Trump in Republican polls and a surge in cash donations, but many commentators are skeptical upon whether Trump could prevail in a general election. The Lincoln Project, an anti-Trump group, said in a statement, "Tonight at Mar-a-Lago, we saw a paranoid and delusional speech cheered on by fanatical cult members who do not care about democracy and American values. Trump got the circus he wanted. The rest of the GOP has fallen in line." Bill Burton, a former White House deputy press secretary under Barack Obama, was also unimpressed. "This is worst I've seen Trump," he tweeted. "I watched all of his speeches, saw him ramble in Waco, watched him ramble in his announcement to run again. This is the very worst of it. Puffy face, bloodshot eyes, his precious hair a mess, and his cadence just plain sad." Well, yeah, he's not having a good day. So, I'm going to try to land a plane on this, because I'm trying to limit myself because I have to go to work in a few hours and I want to take a nap. But I wanted to do this because, the dozen or so that watch my videos and knows me since the very first one about how my opinion is on Trump. When it comes to these particular set of charges in this particular case, as much as people are harping on the unprecedented nature of this, being the first president indicted and charged, this is the least of his problems. He's got indictments looming. The election interference in Georgia, where we have him on tape, on phone call. "You gotta find 11,000 votes. 11,000 votes are somewhere. Find them. You just find them. Find them. And we just need one more vote. Over. Find it. Find it." The Mar-a-Lago case of the documents, which apparently they found more evidence of that shit, and his involvement or his incitement of January 6th. It could potentially be raining indictments on this man. Now again, innocent till proven guilty. And I am saying that. As someone who tries to be somewhat of a pragmatist, especially when it comes to politics, I do always want to temper the enthusiasm or anger or outrage as these situations go by. And think of like the political calculus. Now, people either get upset enough that they want to rush into an indictment, if they feel that the indictment is warranted. But you have to question the motivations on that, if they're doing it just for the political purposes or just because these particular cases have to be looked at and have to be addressed. Some of these cases were drawn out because the Trump team of lawyers, who he's going through lawyers like in musical chairs, if you notice. they delay. Sometimes they try to delay it to go after elections or go after election season. Like in terms of the midterms, they were hoping for a red wave. They're hoping for the Republicans to have a good enough majority that they could, some way legislatively, save Trump in one term or another. Right now, they can just make noise and make speeches and so forth. Going back to the assertion that that this will catapult Trump back into the White House. He lost the popular vote twice. A lot of those that he was supporting in the midterms because of his support did not pass, did not win their elections. Some did, some didn't. The majority of American people that were polled are in favor of this indictment, are in favor of his arrest. And he'll get a benefit from the Republicans. In fact, the Trump team, as far as I heard, I mean, don't totally quote me on this, but as far as I heard, the Trump team is already getting out Trump swag of him being indicted. They're making up fake mugshot shirts. They are. Because publicity, even bad publicity, is good publicity. The people who either from Trump to Trump supporters react to this in such outlandish ways. Marjorie Taylor Greene likened Trump's arrest to that of the arrest of Nelson Mandela and Jesus Christ. They arrested Jesus. This hedonistic plutocrat who has mangled and broke all 7 of the 7 deadly sins is Jesus. Don't insult Jesus Christ that way. Why? Why people go to the top shelf for this man? Lindsey Graham, on now 2 separate occasions, comes on to news media shows on Fox News Media, but elsewhere, and is begging people to send money to Trump. Lindsey Graham don't look well. I don't know if he's like using the Trump tanning bed to get that orange sheen and solidarity to his golfing buddy, but he's like nearly crying and begging people to send Trump money. Donald Trump, who was a near billionaire. What is he, clipping coupons? The guy who can't even pay when he goes to the towns to have rallies, makes to stiff the towns their bills. He wants all you to pay for his legal fees, as he wanted and got the RNC to pay for his legal fees. He just wants your support money. I don't know. But again, if all this is this dramatic, wait until Georgia hits or Mar-a-Lago documents hits. Now, my opinion on the falsifying records, the deal with the Stormy Daniels and Karen Madugan, I have 2 minds on this. I mean, I can understand people's thinking that these crimes, if found guilty, is more misdemeanors than felonies. I can see the ambiguity of it. I understand the point of view of the district attorney and the court in New York that you can elevate it to a felony if they can prove that these little crimes leads and facilitates to larger crimes. Okay. I think this is the lesser charge of what could be coming. I think there's, in terms of falsifying, there's so much more that that they have been investigated, at least investigated by the media over. I mean, isn't it a crime to, on his tax returns or in his real estate, when he jerks with the actual price value of his properties? Oh, it's really up here. It's right up here, until it's like, oh no, it's really down here. It's really real. It costs only this much, for tax purposes. But otherwise, oh, it's really expensive. It's up here. All right. In the end, even if it's Trump derangement syndrome or just political biases, in the end, none of us is above the law. I have maintained that if there is something suspicious, I'm on anybody. It could be Biden, it could be Obama, anybody. And if there's grounds to investigate, then investigate. If you find a crime, then pursue it. It's about justice. What I kept hearing over and over again from people, from Trump supporters on the medias, they're talking about, if they can go after a former president, they can come after you. What the fuck is wrong with you people? They've been coming after us since the inception of this country, because we are regular citizens. And if under suspicion of a crime, they will investigate. If the investigation brings evidence, then they will indict. And they will arrest. You are complaining that he's being treated like every other person. And then you're trying to throw the wool over the eyes and say, whoa, if they can do that to him, they can do that to you. They've been doing that to us. And as part of our society, we understand that. It's one of the reasons why we don't break laws. How this case will go, in terms of trial, I don't know. I know the Trump tactic is going to be to delay, to do what they can. According to the speech that he did here, that might lead to a gag order, as the judge asked him politely to refrain, but Mr. who never felt consequences in his life doesn't know the word refrain. Trump's son decided to post a picture of the judge's daughter. The daughter whose company worked for the 2020 campaign of Democrats like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Posted her picture. What was next? We're going to be doxing now? That she's going to send out her address? Twitter caught that and decided to blur the image, and there was some backlash going to Donnie Jr. on that. Was it Donnie Jr. or was it Eric? No, it's Beavis and Butthead. Either way. If the daughter thing is an issue, and I can understand it being an issue, then it's behooving to the lawyers of Trump to try to get the judge to recuse himself on it. Then get another judge. Then they'll find another problem with the judge, and then that'll be nothing of that. But if that is something that it isn't really a problem, if it's just hot air and noise, I mean, for instance, if the argument is that, yeah, she worked for him back then, now working for them now, it's just a political bias. I mean, Trump through his lawyers tried to get the venue moved to Staten Island so he could be tried in Staten Island because there's more Republicans in Staten Island. Again, find a regular, normal person who is accused of a crime to play a shell game as to where he goes. It's happened. I mean, people who feel like the racial makeup of the town in question that they're being charged in might not be conducive to them getting a fair trial because there's too many of a different skin pigmentation. So let's go over here where it might be a different flavor. Usually that doesn't quite work. That doesn't quite fly. Will Trump get a political benefit out of this? Perhaps. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility that he could or not. It's in there. But, again, I don't think that's going to sway independents or Democrats, politically speaking. No one's going to be that outraged of him being indicted or him being arrested. And in the end, even if he is acquitted and he leaves this court system a conquering hero going into the next presidential election, and somehow, magically, that momentum will turn the votes of people who didn't vote for him, and he becomes president again. Optimistically, that's just another 4 years of him being president and what we've seen him as president. So less people are planning on that dictatorship. At some point we will be done with Trump. If by no other else, by the natural progression of time. I mean, that's optimistic. I mean, there could be worst case scenarios out there that you can imagine of. But for now, this is the least of the legal problems for Donald J. Trump. And just realized that why he doesn't quite come out and say his middle name fully, and when people don't say that, because it's Donald John Trump. Don John. Isn't that a porta potty company? Alright. Enough land-basting the poor precious little Don John. The ranter rants because the urge to rant is always rising. And, I can't admit that it is kind of humorous. All of the running around and flailing for this poor man. Precious Trump. But welcome to the rest of the United States people, Donald Trump, where if you're accused of a crime and there's evidence of a crime, you get indicted for the crime. You're innocent to proven guilty. You have to prove your guilt. But given your behavior, you're not scoring confidence that you're innocent. See you next time, guys.